Hey guys, good day to everybody. I am here with Joe Hanna. Joe is based in Florida, currently in North Carolina, heading for the winter. Joe?
That absolutely, it's the kind of best time of the year to be up here, fall before winter, likely. But my birthday is coming up in 2.5 weeks, and we're gonna be in the mountains in Asheville, enjoying some fall colors with my kids. So looking forward to it.
Amazing. Well, happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Amazing. So Joe, as it is usually the case with people that we talk to here at Exited, I know very little about you. So the purpose of these obviously these podcasts is to highlight your career, but also learn and discover who you are, where you're from, what did you build, what did you sell. So Joe, let's go back to the beginning. Where are you from? What's your background?
Well, if we're gonna start back there, then we're gonna need a lot more than an hour. But Now, I grew up in Alexandria, Egypt, so that's my heritage, and had the good fortune of getting into software engineering and robotics and automatic control early in the early 90s. So it was right around the time where the industry was forming in or norming, I should say, not forming, it'd been forming for a while, but was that the modern computer science industry was forming around that time. I had the good fortune to work for Fortune 500 companies the first 10 years of my career. So I spent time with Oracle, with CSC, with ADS, all over the world, with the US mostly. And after that, I left and started working with private equity-backed companies, much smaller companies, sub 50 million in revenue. I grew a couple of those, exited a couple of those as part of management teams. Then did operating partner consulting type work for a few years, again helping various companies with due diligence, fundraising, strategy, growth, expanding in new market, figuring out new products. And then in the mid 2000s, I kind of took all of that. So that would have been, almost 20 years of my career at that point. I took all of that and decided to start from scratch. So built what became Engage. Was a beautiful ride. We started in 2014, exited that company in 2019, and it was the early innings of using AI, predictive analytics, quote unquote AI, right? Not the AI
Right.
that we dealing with today. That's 10 years ago. We built our own models back then, right? And we built predictive models specific to the HR tech and talent acquisition industry. So that was the area that we focused on. We raised funds from on three different rounds. Again, was fortunate enough that all of them were oversubscribed. Got some institutional VC money from outside of the region. We were in the southeast. Got backed by great VCs. We raised $12 million in all. And in 2019, we exited unexpectedly, but also 3 months before COVID hit
Yeah.
to a strategic acquisition that was backed by Carlisle. And since then, I got to work with some of those large PE firms, as well as working on starting something else again. So, once you try it, it's very hard to quit.
It's addictive, right? You want more, more,
Exactly.
more action and more action. Well, that's an amazing description of a fantastic career in a nutshell. How old were you when you came to the US?
Full time, I was 26. So
Okay.
Oracle had moved me. So that was in the mid 90s. And I'm not going to date you, but for those who've been around since then in the industry, that's where the time where there was a great influx of software engineers globally to the
Right.
US because there
Okay.
wasn't enough talent here, and Oracle moved me from Europe at the time to the US to be part of that. So that's when I came here.
That's amazing. I mean, Oracle is, obviously one of those, there's a few of the big ones with highly respected and so amazing. I know a few people that have come from other countries with companies, they're renowned tech companies. So, Wow, so many questions to ask you. I mean, I don't want to skip that amazing career. I mean, because it sounds like you had a corporate career before you started your own entrepreneurial life. Why? Like, why? Because corporate is a completely different lifestyle than literally starting something from scratch. So why did you do it? Or was it life, or was your time? And how did that happen?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, coming out of college, what one of the things that any aspiring software engineer at the time want to work with a big name, want to be closer to where the big technology is being built, right? So, if you talk to any software engineer today, they would want to work close to people who are creating the latest and greatest in AI, and at the time, there was, more opportunities to work to do that with large corporations, and I always, use air quotes to say, learn how to do it the right way in the
Right,
corporations,
right,
air
right.
quotes, right?
We have
Or,
the
or not,
equivalent. We have the equivalent in the law. I started my career at a larger law firm, before
right?
I started my own. And so you have that big vision of a big case, or how to, deal with the big clients or things like that. I totally get it. It's the same for us.
Yeah, but I would say that in parallel to working with those Fortune 500 companies, I always had a what we call today side hustle, right? Which is a lot more normal today than it used to be. So, with fellow classmates, for example, that we graduated together, we started a company that built software in the shipping industry. And we started another one that was training for different IT and network engineering, what have you, that we did in the evenings. So there was always something interesting on the side of
Okay.
working for Fortune 500. But what I learned from in these 10 years that I spent at Fortune 500, served me really well
Yes.
that down the road. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs or a lot of people want to start their entrepreneurship journey right away, which is great. So some people are ready for it. I was not. And
Mhm.
I can tell you that starting a company in my 40s, I feel
Mhm.
that I was a lot more prepared for that journey than 10 years prior to that, than 20 years prior to that.
So Engage is the one you started in your 40s.
That's correct.
And that's the one you feel like I was so much better prepared.
Uh, uh,
You
you're
know,
perfect.
yeah, I love it. I mean, I'm in the process of branched it out, and have started a few in my 40s this year, doing it all a little bit in parallel, step by step. But there's always like, oh my God, am I too old? Like you see all the famous, not that I don't, not that aspiration, but you see the big celebrity tech people today, they did out of college, and then there's always that judger, in your head, oh my God, did I go too late? Did I start too late? I did this legal
Yeah.
career and now launching companies.
Yeah, Gabriela, I actually, and I know a lot of people will be listening to this. I encourage you to look at the research around that because that changed over the past few years.
Mm,
VCs now are looking for more experienced entrepreneurs to back. They are looking for people who've been there, done that, have the
yeah.
network, have the creds, have the customers, can pick up the phone and call their support, network of supporters and get answers very quickly. There is I'm not going to quote it because I'm maybe that might be off in the numbers, but there is a research that was done by Crunchbase on the average age of an entrepreneur who raised a seed fund from a VC,
Mhm.
and that now used to be 20s, 30s. That average age has
Has gone up.
increased quite a bit. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
So that's
That's good.
it's not just you or me 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I think the whole industry is going that direction.
I love it. I love it. The other thing is, I guess when you're a little older too, you can self-fund.
There is
You already have your money. You can self-fund your dreams, or not your dream, but the challenge you want to solve. I think it's not necessarily a dream.
So that's actually a good discussion to have as well because different stages in life, right? You have different experiences, different resources, but also different responsibilities. So as you get older, you're likely or potentially responsible for a family.
Right.
You cannot take as much risk as you were able to do when you did not have those responsibilities. You get even a little bit more older, and you're responsible likely for elderly parents or taking care of people in network. So there is a balance between how much risk you can take, how much you can work for $0, how much you can spend those, 80, 90 hour weeks. And you just have to be prepared for that. And we collect, each one of us individually reaches that point in different stage of their life. I guess if there is a lesson learned is there is no right or wrong time to start or age to start.
Right.
But that number is different for each individual.
I think it does differ. I mean, in my case, I did the law firm for about 11 years. Before that, I had the traditional job. And then last we pivoted probably earlier this year, we pivoted big time, where among other things, besides launching a podcast, we are funding a couple of startups and buying, different, like totally buying companies. But I couldn't buy them if I didn't have my friends and partners who can go at it together. So I don't like to go at it alone because, and it's not even about whether you have the resources, it's about going with the ecosystem where each of the different partners has their own ecosystem. And between all of us, we can make something greater than just alone. I'm a big believer in that ecosystem. So in fact, so leveraging those, 11 years at this law firm, which I guess is my first entrepreneurial baby, right? Because I said nobody's going to be my boss. I'm going to run my own, and here we are. But
You always have a
it's a law
boss.
firm.
You always have a boss.
That's true, but it's hard to so many things to say. With the legal, it's a little now. It's easier with AI to pivot and innovate. It's so much faster to innovate in 2025 than in 2023 for a firm, at least in my view. But long story short, it allowed me to have a beautiful ecosystem of friends and clients and people I've met that now we can pivot into different things together, which is what a lot of what we're doing these days.
So it's funny. I didn't know if you're, intentionally saying pivot and pivoting and what have you, but here's a quick plug, right? So I don't
Is
know.
this your book?
That's my book, and the title is pivoting. And so
I want a copy. Is it where can we get it?
it's on Amazon. If you go to my
Amazon.
LinkedIn profile, there is a QR code there, and you can get it. I think it has been getting good reviews. It reached the Amazon bestseller in its category a few times.
Wow.
But it's interesting. So let's double click on a statement you said that it's much easier to pivot and innovate in 2025 than it was 10 years ago. Could not agree more. Our ability, so technology, right? Your legal, maybe that's a little bit different, but in the technology side, that our ability to prototype and put something in front of a customer that is working, not just PowerPoint
Yeah.
slides, not just clickable demos, but actual working prototype. We can do that on a weekend
Yes.
that used to take months to put together.
Yes.
So I still remember when we built Engage just 10 years ago, right? Not that 11 years ago. It's not like ancient history, but it took us 3 months to get to the point where we have a working
Right.
pilot. Working pilot. We had screens and concepts to share early on, but a working pilot took us 3 months.
Yeah.
One of the projects I'm working on right now, it took us 3 weeks to put something pretty good. And a weekend to actually
Yeah.
have something, 3 weeks to put something that's integrated with AI, that has intelligence, that has.
Yeah.
So one of the people that I'm associated with and I follow closely is Andrew Ng with the AI Fund.
Okay.
So that's who's backing the main project I'm working on right now. And Andrew, for those who've been in the tech industry for a while, he's one of the godfathers of AI.
Yeah.
lots of history behind him. But he recently started talking about how engineering is no longer the bottleneck. It used to be. It used to be. So if you and I had an idea, we needed engineers, and that was the bottleneck to make it happen. What's what's becoming more and more of a bottleneck is your ability to get the user's feedback and the insights on what you're building. So, in simple terms, product management is back to becoming the bottleneck, not
Mm,
engineering, where it
I
used to
love
be
it.
the other way around. So it's great. And if you listen, Sam Altman over the weekend had a an interview where he said, software engineering is going to disappear in 5 years. Believe it or not, we'll see. But it's directionally getting there. It's changing, right? It's
I
changing.
have a real life example, Joe, that I can share with you.
Please.
I actually have built apps. I have built a
There
couple
you
of
go.
apps myself.
Yep.
Uh, this website, I built my website. I'll tell you the story. We have a website vendor, the previous vendor, and we said we want to rework it. And they sent us a yearly contract. And I'm like, I don't need a contract. I need you to sit with me and let's refresh the website a little bit. We couldn't fit in whatever they wanted. So we went to, okay, let me see if I can find a couple of freelancers to help us. So we went to Upwork. We found three different freelancers. The first one took the project, people that knew what I wanted. We sent them a video, an explanation. They took the project, no show. Second person took the project, no show. Third person took the project, worked on the project, and I wanted to cry because it just wasn't like it was bad. So at the same time, I learned about this company, Lovable. I mean, I guess I'll give them a little bit of free marketing here, but I mean, I do use it. We've changed the model, how we are doing the legal side of the business. We are a media company. That's what we are. We produce content for our clients to use and learn about what they need. So our market is the small business to lower middle market. Some of the numbers you were throwing in that are small. Some of the people going to legal Zoom, some a little bit of that, and then some larger exits up to 100. Those are great clients for us. Basically, a client that doesn't have an attorney, that's a client we want. And they're very spread and blah blah blah. Our strategy is to just give them good content where they're
Hmm.
gonna scroll, and if you look, and we even have a little where it describes our client. It shows that it's like a feed, so you can like scroll and read about our clients and some of the things we've done with them. But anyway, I built this thing in a couple of weekends, and it has
I love
super
it.
like it's super like go check it out. It's just like people. I showed it to a couple of website people like this is pretty good, and the challenge is that I don't know enough about websites, but I've built this one. We'll see how the SEO goes. I'm still learning about it. But I'm an attorney. I'm a business owner. I'm a entrepreneur now, but I'm building websites because even though I'm 44, I have no problem aging myself. I think that tech is a tool, a skill I have to have. If I don't know how to use and do these things, this thing would have taken 3 months. I mean, it's a complex website. We have ebooks, we have videos, we have tons of blogs, we have tons of information. It's a content company more than a law firm because it really highlights the tools that our clients need instead of describing who we are. So, but then we built two other apps with Lovable. Now, Lovable took, and let me tell you the skill. I agree with Sam Altman. I love the guy. And I agree with him with what you said because I follow him daily. However, people like me, we still need the developers because so Lovable was doing a great thing, but there are terms I don't know. Even if GPT is here and Lovable's here, and I try to have GPT translate, there are so many things that I get stuck. And one of the big mistakes I did when I was building my apps is what I would call in the legal the proofread. Type the paragraph, proofread it, tighten it up, then go to the next. We didn't do that. So Lovable will just go and go and go. And then there's little holes that are created and then I guess hardening the app, all these new terminologies I've learned, hardening in it, and some other word that I can't remember what it is. That those steps weren't done. So we kind of created a little bit of a looks pretty, but the back end wasn't great. So we ended up getting the actual human developers to look at it. But what people like me need is we need coaches. I need a coach. I have actually, I think I found a person where I tell them, this is what I want. Tell me if the architecture should be this one or this one. Guide me through and then build together, build together. You know what I mean? So I think you're going to need the developers because people like me are going to take we have a product that's in the market today. It's one of my other companies, but we are having a software developer agency do the AI portion of it, which Lovable wasn't able to handle well. Because it's pretty complex, and then the security portion, which Lovable
Yeah,
was kind of weak on, but same what you're saying. I mean, we were getting told it would take 5 months to build our app, and we did it in like, you know, first time lawyers, is me and my partner are lawyers, testing it out. We did it in like a month.
I love it. No,
It's
it's
tough.
so I don't so software engineering is not going to disappear. It's going to change.
It
Developers is
is.
not going to disappear. Are going to change. And there is an 80/20 rule here that's very obvious, which is you can use Lovable, Cursor, Bolt, Cloud Code, right? There's a lot of those tools out there, and that will continue to the number of tools will continue to increase, and they will continue to mature. You can use them to get to the 80%. You
Yes.
always gonna need, as of now, you are going to need an expert, human expert, to go in and finish the 20%.
Yes.
So they are great in quick MVPs, quick iterations, quick analysis, show the customer something that actually works, not just a concept, not just PowerPoint slides. In some cases, they can take you to the 90%, maybe the 95%. But to get that last 10, 20%, you will, as of now, you still need a
Yeah.
human to go in and put it all together.
Agree.
Yep.
I love it. Isn't that crazy? I mean, isn't that crazy? When we came up with the idea, we didn't know Lovable existed. Okay. This is in what is this, September 2025. This is at the beginning of the summer. We didn't know Lovable existed. Somebody told us. We were talking to some of our friends who have software agencies, and we were getting quotes between like 250K and 100K to help us build this thing. And then, we have the funds, right? We have the network and the funds to do the thing. But we're treating, we're really trying to do it as real entrepreneurs. We're not just going to give money away. We want the sweat and tears feeling and save every single penny that we can. And somebody said Lovable, and we did it. And it took us probably I would say, I think the guy said we are 90% there.
That's awesome.
90% there.
Good
Now
for
a
you.
few frustrations in the middle, but we did it. Now the next time I build an app, it's going to be even better because now I know. I know the things
Absolutely.
I didn't know, but that's a skill that we all should have.
Coding it's another thing that Andrew Ng did in the AI fund. Everyone in the AI fund is a coder, vibe coder.
Yeah.
Everyone from talent to finance to product to obviously the engineers, the fund management. Everyone is coding and creating something. You're right. It's the new Microsoft Office skills.
It
You no
is.
longer, everyone. There was some point where Excel was something that some people had, some
Yeah.
people did not, and then it became mainstream, and we all just by default
Yeah.
use Excel or PowerPoint or Word.
Yeah.
The same thing, coding at that level is going to be as mainstream. We're all going to be doing it without even thinking.
Yeah. With us, me and my husband running, our little conglomerate of businesses and all the things that we do, I started learning. I'm a little bit scattered in my organization and skills. And my profile is urgency, 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 go, 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 go. And so I started learning the art of delegation, right?
Yeah.
Where I use my brain for for its highest skill set and everything else delegates. And so I actually had to think and strategize. Do I really build a website or do I delegate the website? But I said, it's an AI website. I need to build this website. I need to get this skill because if not, I'm going to get behind. I need to know how to put things in the market. I don't know. So for me, I delegate it a lot, except the things that I think are the future in AI. I mean, if you don't have it, you're behind.
Yep. Yeah, and it's interesting with the delegation. I believe that you need to know at least a little bit of how it works, and then you can delegate the rest. It helps us as leaders of our business or
Right.
as people responsible for investments from others, what have
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
It just help us, understand where we're being, BS'd versus not. It'll help us manage people better
Yeah.
when we know a little bit about what they do and how they do it. It helps us to have better expectations on how long a task is going to take or how much something is going to cost. So knowing a little bit make us better bosses, make us,
Yeah.
better entrepreneurs, and make the relationship with people who are you actually delegating to better, across the board. So, as long as you know that you did not know, that
Yeah, and
is,
at least I know what AI can do, and it's insane. It is just insane. 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 I've always been big on how I want the website. It's the whole, digital image is important. Insane what it can do. It's just crazy. And again, I didn't start this year. I keep saying this. I didn't start 2025 thinking that I would do the things that I'm doing because AI is just moving faster and faster and changing entire industries, including the knowledge industry, which is what I was trained on, which is why I'm now launching more startups because I'm trying to keep up. Even though sometimes I feel like I'm raising a race that nobody knows is there. I think it is there.
yeah.
But just trying to keep up and plant the seeds, just throw as many seeds into the future, you know.
No, I mean you hit it right on, and how quickly it's changing, and how much easier it is to to start something, as you said, put the seeds and see where it goes. I also have that story with Engage, which we built our own models and trained the models and collected the data, all that from scratch. We had, when it was all said and done, I think we had 35 models or so that we're very proud of. It took us
Wow.
about 2.5 years to develop, and we still needed another, couple 3 years to fine tune them and perfect them. I what took us 2.5 years to build, we can likely build in a couple months today. And we're talking about, sophisticated models that do things like predict if someone is going to quit their job or not, right? I
Right.
mean,
Wow.
we're or predict the what unemployment rate is going to be, or analyze supply and demand of certain jobs and skills and things of that nature, right? So those are not the easiest of models to build, but we can build them now in a couple months instead of a couple years.
That's
So
insane.
we're for us as a humanity, it's a great thing.
It's a great thing. The question though we all ask is where is it going to lead us? And with the because there people will be displaced. I mean, I know lawyers are getting displaced as we speak. I've heard of so many now. In my case, I'm building companies. Others are switching. Others are saying, I'm not gonna be a lawyer anymore. I'm gonna, do a business or do some other thing. But it'd be interesting how it shakes up. Hey guys, I want to take a minute here and talk to you about for a second about the company X-Ray. Bottom line, if you want to sell your business in the next few years, there are two things that you're going to need to know. You're going to need to know the financials, and you're also going to need to know the legal side. Why? When you go to sell a company, there will be a lawyer on the other side, and there will be financial people on the other side. And usually, once you're on the table, the financial stuff has been figured out. They give you a purchase price. They just need to verify. But the lawyers for the buyers are going to scrutinize your company in a process called due diligence. And we've seen so many people not be ready for the due diligence and turn these M&A situations into horrible stress and emotional roller coaster stories. And for that, we have created a solution which is called The Company X-Ray. Check it out at thecompanyxray.com. We basically do a legal audit. It's just one click for us. That's all it takes. You give us your data, we analyze it, and then we give you a report and we tell you how exit ready your company is from a legal perspective. Because if you're not, not only is your M&A going to turn into a roller coaster, but your purchase price might be cut and your purchase sale agreement might look really, really, really against you because the buyer found things and liabilities they don't like. So be ahead of the game. Check out thecompanyxray.com and reach out. We'll be happy to help you. So let's go back to engage, because I want to go back to that, because I think we were talking a little bit about you have a corporate career and then you say, okay, I'm going to start a business. Did you do it alone? Did you do it with others? And how did you self-fund it? Let's talk a little bit about the beginning of Engage.
So in the beginning, it was me and a few people who are hired to help working out of my living room, and that was a good part of about 9 months or so. Self-funded, tested few concepts, and I'd say that the concept that we started with Gabriela within about 18 months or so. So we started with a concept and built something reasonable, had a little bit of traction, raised early family and friends and angel investment type individual people, some great people trusted in what we're doing, trusted in the market that we're going after. But within 18 months or so, it became clear to us that we're not going anywhere.
Mm,
The signals that we're getting back is that we are trying to solve a problem that's too big to be solved
mm,
by one company, one startup. That people are not ready for it. One of the things I always talk about is make sure that when someone agrees with you, whether that's a customer or a partner or advisor, are they agreeing with your problem statement
mm.
or are they agreeing with your solution? And we learned that the hard way.
Wow.
So we got a lot of false positives where we go talk to large companies, very smart people, and we tell them, here's the problem and here's our solution. And we come out of that meeting with the entrepreneur happy ears, we got a yes,
Yeah.
right? But when we go back and dissect that, the yes was on our problem statement that yes, there is a
That's
problem.
the
Yes, there is a
problem.
pain point. I'm agreeing with this. I'm agreeing with this. I'm agreeing with this. But it was not decisive. Yes, your solution is something I would use. Or it was, okay, let's see how you do it kind of thing.
Mm,
So um, I also started putting this even in our CRM when salespeople or product managers come back from discussion with a customer, and the question becomes, all right, did they agree with that with the feedback? And I specifically asked, did they agree with our problem statement? That's yes or no.
right.
And then a different question, did they agree with our approach to the solution? That's yes or no. And you learn that the hard way. So at about 18, 20 months, we had raised between self-funding and angel investors about 1.5 million, grew the team to about 15 people, scaled too soon. Um,
Mm,
and we concluded that it's not working. We were exactly 62 days away from shutting it down completely.
wow.
Had to resize the team. Moved back from the fancy co-working space to my living room. Went back from 15 down to 4 people, and those 4 people in early 2016 at that point executed maybe one of the best pivots that you can think of. We put our heads together, learned from everything that we got from the customers. The 2 years we've been collecting their feedback, came up with a different concept that handles an adjacent problem, not the exact problem, adjacent problem. We changed the brand, we changed the models, we changed the tech.
So almost restart. Completely
Everything
restart.
changed except
Okay.
the target market and whom our ICP was. So our ICP was the same one. So it was almost a restart. And it was pretty interesting in 3 months from putting something that's very crude out on the market. We got more traction than we did in the 18 months we
Wow.
had something prior to that. So it's one of these things, people call it product market fit. I argue against that,
What do you call it?
against
Because I actually wrote market fit and I was like, is it market fit or is it something else?
it's so I what I argue for is market fit is a journey, not a destination.
Okay.
It's not something that you reach and you're done. And that's one of the problems I believe in the startup world today is that we created this fictitious creature that's called product market fit that is not measurable, that is not quantifiable, not measurable, not quantifiable, that you, by the time you recognize that you reach that, it would likely happen 6 months ago or 9 months ago, and you're due for another pivot. We created these models that here's how you should operate before product market fit, and here's how you should operate post product market fit. We created these models where people think that, okay, we have reached product market fit, everyone gets a t-shirt. Now we're switching from innovation to scaling. We're switching from being a product marketing organization to a brand marketing organization. We're switching from founders who are very focused on the innovation and engineering and very close to their customers to founders who are focused on scaling and raising money and what have you, and they forget how they got here and what got them here.
Right.
Not that all of that is bad. It just what I argue for is it's a journey, not a destination. You should be innovating. You should be continuing the cycle, continuing what got you here. Because how about that? When you ask people to define product market fit, they will usually say something like this. It's when your product is meeting customer needs
Mm,
at a price that they like. That's
right.
usually the three things, right? Product, customer need, and price. Those are the three things. In reality, all of those three are changing non-stop. Every day, technology is changing.
Correct.
Base pressures are different. What worked yesterday is not going to work today. Competitors are messing with you. Customer needs are changing a lot faster than they ever did. They are changing by the day. So to imagine that there's that state of equilibrium between these three things that's going to last more than just a moment, it is obnoxious. It doesn't
Right.
exist.
Right.
So
It assumes a
don't
constant.
stop.
It
Yes.
assumes a constant, but the world is just moving faster than ever.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So you have to be chasing that. That the analogy I use, and that usually get it through to people is, it's very similar to the John Adams invisible hand equilibrium. If you remember the
Yeah.
economic, right? That
Yeah, of
if
course.
each one of us is doing what's right for us, there is an invisible hand that
That
ties
makes
all
it
of
all
us. There will be equilibrium, right? But it's a great concept. Product market fit is a great concept. But in reality, economists don't think that way. You
right.
don't hear an economist say, well, the economy in 2023 had reached the invisible hand equilibrium.
Right.
That doesn't, there's
Right.
not no
That's
such
true.
thing,
That's true.
right?
I don't think there's a book that's like, oh, we found the hand.
Yeah,
We
right.
found
Yeah,
the effect.
that's why
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
invisible. The equilibrium doesn't
Right.
exist. And product market fit, in my mind, it's the same. And there is there is a movement right now from a lot of entrepreneurs, product managers, and leaders who are attempting to relay the same thing to entrepreneurs. To not be thinking that. And when I talk to VCs and investors, their first question, right, is, have you achieved product market fit? Like, okay, you're asking the
It's too
wrong guy.
theoretical. It's too theoretical. And I think in that sense, people like me who don't have that business training and we've kind of learned it on the go as well. This sticks, this doesn't stick. I think that's what it is. You know, one thing I'm following, the best advice I've heard from the big famous, billionaires is the one from Jeff Bezos. You got to be in love with the customer. You have to know. He says obsessed. This customer obsession, which I guess the downside, to your point, of launching a business in your later years, once maybe you do have some financial comfort and like being obsessed for somebody being happy with your product. I need to train myself. I've already told myself we're launching one of our platforms, which is we're going to help CPA firms connect with freelance CPAs. And then we have
Interesting.
one for lawyers, small law firms that need, they say if I get 100 million M&A, I probably need to staff my team a little more overnight. And
Yep.
with these kind of platform, I can do it. I can staff it with literally really good lawyers, and I can have 10 more lawyers on my team just for 5 months for that deal. When that deal's gone, they keep doing what they do. So these platforms are, the market economy, being able to upsize. But I have trained my mind. I'm going to do customer support, Joe. I'm not customer
Yeah.
support. I want to do customer support because I know what a professional needs, right? And so now this firm runs without me. And I've gotten to the point where this firm runs without me. But when we're launching something new, I want to be. I'm gonna be with the first few customers. It tell me how. Now you have a problem. I'm gonna personally fix it. I want to be obsessed because it's true. It's true. The companies that have been good to me, they made me feel like I was important to them, and I always went back to them. Right. So for us, is that customer obsession. But I mean, I digressed a little bit. But because the other thing I wanted to mention that came to mind is the sense that, people falling in love too much with their product, but not
Mm.
really understanding what the customer needs. And again, sometimes I scroll on Instagram and I follow, all these guys, and you pick up some really, really good, smart information once in a while. But that is one that I feel maybe it's similar to what happened to you guys. You have a great product and the clients are like, yeah, that's great, but that's not exactly what we need. But that happened when you switched. Now, my question is, I mean, what a bummer. I mean, if I've been working for 18 months and I've taken all these people's monies and my sweat and tears and been using my couch for months, and my family knows that this is the workspace, it's not your TV room. And then I mean, how mental could was that to you guys?
Yeah.
I feel like so many people would have quit then and said, we've had it, guys. Like this is enough.
Yeah. No, so a couple things there. It's never easy, and it usually, at that point, I had to disengage with my main co-founder at the time, which was not pretty, not something that I wish for anybody to go through. Had to rethink what I'm going to do about, going back into a different job. All
Right.
these things, right? You go through your mind. And and I'm gonna tie that a little bit to our discussion about product market fit, because one of the lessons I learned from that and other stories, right? We're not the only people who almost failed and then pivoted and
Right.
found something that works. Um, the the I tell when an investor asks, have you achieved product market fit or not? Or go do due diligence in this company. Let's see if they achieve that or not. Or I'm assessing a company myself or a product myself. I say that it's a lot more important to assess the team's ability to innovate and pivot and how quickly they can do that versus assessing whether they have something successful today,
Yeah. Ooh,
because what they
that's so
have
good.
suc that what they have successful today may not be tomorrow. We just talked about that, right? The market, everything is changing all the time. The equilibrium that we think they have today is going to change. If not tomorrow, in 6 months, and it will change multiple times during your hold period, Mr. Investor. So the fact that they have an equilibrium today is secondary to their ability to read the customer, to get the feedback, to continue to innovate and produce something and pivot continuously without seeing that as a burden, by seeing that as a competitive advantage. So that's back to that, you learn that the hard way, right? You learn it. Pivoting used to be a negative thing, right? It used to be a four-letter word. Um, not anymore. A lot of people are starting to see that when you say pivot, it's the same thing as you say innovate, and it's continuous innovation.
Yeah.
So it's you learn a lot, and you hope that you don't make the same mistakes again. But it's for everyone to think about. It's a lot more important for you to build an innovation machine than to build and learn to measure that too, right? Because
Yeah.
that's one of the harder things to measure. How are you measuring your innovation speed?
Right.
I have a framework I call idea to cash, which is basically from the time you get an idea, everything that you have to do until you get cash, whether that's an actual cash or not, that's secondary, and the customer insight back from that. But how quickly do you go around that cycle, right? There is a lot that you have to do. And once you get feedback on that, how quickly are you able to bring that feedback in and innovate around that wheel, if you would? So lots of things to think about when it comes to pivoting.
For sure. And I think that other element you just mentioned is the speed. The speed. I'm obsessed with speed. It's actually my personality is the speed, and it can be a good thing. It can be a really bad thing. It's very hard to work with a person that's always anchored in the future. When you're anchored in the future, today is late. That's like, I don't know. I've met a few people that are like that, but it feels like today is too late. That constant catching up feeling. There's something to say about that, but that's really amazing. So I want to touch, before we close on the, okay, so you guys go back to your living room and you're now literally thinking, do I go back? Or do we just go back all in? Do we rebrand, rename, blah blah blah? What was the turning point? Where between you going back to corporate and staying in that lane of the entrepreneurship life?
It was the feedback from the customers. So
Okay,
at that
so
point,
that
right, we are 2 years into it. We have a great network. We failed with the first product. It failed. There's no other way to describe it, right? No one. People were trying it, but no one really. It was not. It was not going to scale. How about that? We had
yeah,
enough revenue, but it was not a scalable product at that point, and started to be a lot more of a me too to what else is in the market, not differentiated, all of that. But we had enough network that we could put something quick together and take it to that network of users and advisors and say, what do you think of this? And very quickly, the answers that we were getting, it was that, again, differentiating between the yes for the problem versus the yes for the solution. We were getting the yes for the solution, and we recognized that, like, okay, now we have something. Now we really have something. And then we went back. We had our investors trusted us enough, and were able to help us bridge that migration from the old product to the new
right,
product. We had investors who said no, no, no multiple times when we were working the first product, and we came back with the second one. They said yes, I'll fund that. The first one we had the product, we had a few customers, we had few revenue, and they said no to it. The second one with PowerPoint and few validations, they said yes. So that tells you that when the market starts to pull you, instead of you trying to push, things change quite a bit. So we're able to pivot and raised institutional money after that, a couple of VC rounds, and then 2019 was our exit.
exit, amazing. And so post exit, what have you been up to? I mean, you're still building. What's your
Yeah, so I joined the company that acquired us and stayed for about 4 years. We built learned a lot during that time. Again, working with very smart, large PE backers, as well as very complex problems. Instead of building from scratch, now you're talking about integration and bringing multiple companies that were acquired together. You're talking about much larger budgets than I had before. So there was almost back to my Fortune 500 days, for about 4 years. Again, learned a lot through that process, and then the past couple of years, spent time putting a lot of that in the book, which was
amazing?
a dream, and finally got published last year, and then doing consulting, and now also working on potentially starting something else, and now using our new AI.
Amazing. Well, Joe, I mean, like I said before we started recording, I said I have maybe my first celebrity
Oh, I don't know about that.
person here. Amazing, amazing trajectory. I mean, I know I could talk to you for another 2 hours, but I know we have limited time. But
So
you,
can I ask for some? Can I just give you? And I talk about this a lot, but I will give you the top five things I learned from my exit,
please
and
do. Please
people
do.
can do whatever they want to do with that. The first thing is what I call is you never know when the phone is going to ring. So when we got the call about someone interested in acquisition, we were not going through a process. We had just raised money. We were not even thinking about that at all, right? But the call came and it was the right call. And literally within 75 days, we had closed in an acquisition.
Oh, that's
And so
fast. That's
that
very
was
nice.
very fast, especially when it's with a large PE backer on the other side. So what that means is always be prepared as if you're exiting tomorrow, and that's tough, right? When you're operating and when you're building, but you think, but that helps you build better.
Yeah.
It helps you think about the relationships that the co-founders who you may have or have not settled things with properly. It will
Yeah.
help you think about all those cavities and issues that you have in your company that you know that once you go through a real due diligence process, they will come up.
It will come
Uh,
up. We
right?
preach
It will
that.
come up.
That's our
Exactly.
preaching part. Yeah, yeah. You
There, right? You're a lawyer, right? You know how
yeah.
that's going to work.
Yeah.
The third thing is the know your company, know your metrics cold. I
Mm.
always flash when I talk about that. I flash that popular picture of Mark Zuckerberg in front of Congress, and he is sitting, and there is 50 people with cameras right around the table that he's sitting, and they all look at him.
Yeah.
Uh, and whether you like the guy or not, you gotta admire his ability to know everything. And he gets briefed great, with have smart people around him and all that. But he knows his company cold. He knows the issues cold. You're not gonna have too many opportunities to phone a friend to get an answer when you're being asked about specific metric or specific
Right.
customer or specific issue in your product. So know your company really, really well. The other two are softer, but regardless of how big or small you are, your team will break. Your team will be stressed out during a process, an
Yeah.
exit process, regardless of how well it is to or how good it's going to be for you, for them, for the customers. It's your team is gonna suffer. Your team is gonna do it. For that I always play the brave heart clip with, if you remember, he's standing with a much larger army against
Yeah.
his little behind him, and there is that famous piece where he just says, "Hold, hold," right?
Right.
And that's almost what you need to do,
Yeah.
because if you're getting acquired, you're likely dealing with much bigger, much more sophisticated buyer on the other side. And the way
Yeah.
they're looking and digging and uncovering things, your team is going to need you.
Yeah.
And the last thing I say, again, and that doesn't matter how experienced you are, how many times you went through it. If it's your baby, if it's something that you built and you're going through the process, there will be points where you will break, and
Hmm.
you just need to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
And I was again fortunate enough to have an amazing advisors and backers that helped me go through that process where I was close to breaking and
Yeah.
and letting it go. So
Yeah.
um, lots of other stuff here to talk about, but I appreciate you. Thank you for the time, and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, no, thanks, Joe. You just hit it, and those are the amazing. That's amazing feedback. I agree with it all. An exit is a job in and of
Yeah.
itself, and it is a process of opening all the different layers and it's of your business, 100% of it out in the open, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and emotional because you've built it, you've your people love it, you love it, your clients love you, and then you have somebody barking at you, why don't you have this paper, why did you do this that way, and asking you about, do you have that yellow paper that's mentioned in these other, it's insane. So what we tell our clients is be ready. And I just want to put in a quick word because you literally said all the things we tell. We actually created a program. It's called the Company X-Ray. It's our
Okay.
own software where we tell our clients to do your own due diligence before the buyer at least
Absolutely.
3 to 5 years. So we want to do, we run your entire data room and then we give you a report because we've seen too many times amazing CEOs literally break because they didn't, and that's because if you don't have an in-house lawyer, you just, and the M&A is a legal process. And if you came to the table without ever having an actual in-house person helping you, there are going to be points that break and that turns into earnouts and escrows and nights, all-nighters and stress and lots of legal fees. And that actually can be simplified. That's I'll tell you about it a little bit more offline, but we do have that because we think that every sale can be smooth. We really think, and the X-ray puts you through the mental breakpoint because so we had a client tell us, I just realized that all my employment agreements are on like ink signatures. So he's literally scanning papers. I'm like, imagine if that happened with an offer on the table. And instead of worrying about the offer, you're scanning papers at midnight. You don't want to be there, right? So love your advice, Joe. Love what you're doing. I want to stay close and I'll be following with everything you do. Congratulations on everything.
Thank
And
you.
wow, what an amazing episode.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Gabriela.
Thank you.